So, what's up everyone? Magandang hapon at magandang araw sa inyong mga kapwa ko, mga kaliteratura. So, I'm here with my cat here named Ishiru, and we're about to do a book review about one of my favorite stories that I've read in the last sessions of my junior high school journey. So, let us all sit back and relax and listen to this vlog I have made for this review. So, now we're diving into one of my favorite stories that I have read, and it's not really a book, but I have a copy of it when I was just in junior high. So, here's a copy of it, and it's entitled My Father Goes Court, and its work was made by Carlos Bulusan. And nasimulan ko naman siya nung junior high school when I was a book enthusiast, and I loved reading it so much that I kept on repeating it like 100 times. 100 times. So this favorite story of mine just hits me hard because the message within it was very captivating and very catchy. So I have read this for like 100 times really because I'm an enthusiast in reading it when I was in junior high. I remember that book was in a color blue, and I think it was about grade 7 or around grade 10 that I have read this story. So what's interesting about this story is that the story is about the two societies with different status in life, so with having different arguments. So there are two sides of these families, and it says there that one of them lived in the poorer state and one of them lived in the rich state, and that poor family lived in the outskirts, or they're living like an informal settlers. So they live as a settler just beside on that particular rich man living with his family. So as I have read this, it took me like not more than 1 hour to read it, and as I was not satisfied, I kept on reading it and reading, and hanggang sa nagustuhan ko na yung pagbasa doon sa nakikita ko, because that message really hits me hard. It's just striking between those two opposing statuses in life, the poor and the rich. So that got me real hard. So here, I'm just gonna have a review about this Filipino book of Carlos Bulusan. So it is an impactful story narrated by a young boy, and living with the poor side of his family made him envy the rich man's status in life. So once they live in that settle in that life, they live for a while. Then in one time there was the rich man cooked for the children of his, and that scent of that roasted chicken was the particular food that they cooked. So once the scent reached outside the windows, that scent of that roasted chicken caught the noses of the poor boy's family that was narrating his story, and they, because of their envy towards the family, that family wanted to take the scent of that food so they could feel satisfied even though they were not eating. So it was surprising at my part because they're already busog dun sa ginagawa nila na pag-amoy nung pagkain. And it was very surprising because in that way, I couldn't believe it, because it's just stating that you're already satisfied, but you're not really doing that thing. So that's the point of what I have learned on that particular part. And the next one is when the family got into sickness, most specifically the kids or the children of the rich man, he looked outside the windows and saw the family that was really happy while taking bath on a river. That's what I remember on that book, that they're living on that near the river and they took a bath on it, and those those sounds of joy, happiness emanating from them was was taking the attention of that rich man. And it surprises me that the rich man closed the windows right before them. The poor family didn't notice it, but they still enjoyed those baths they took. But the interesting part is what the two societies now became an argument. When the rich man had an argument with the poor boy's family, particularly with the father, and they took it right in the courtroom, and they even look what's beneath the story using the judgment room. So that particular story just states that that man, that rich man, took the opportunity to palayasin na yung mga pamilya na nang-aagaw ng kanilang, not in a figurative way, ari-arian, like the scent of those foods na nawawalan na sila ng nutrition afterwards, that they took those scents of that roasted chicken, and even those laughters that's hearing from those joy na nanliligo sila sa river. So the favorite part of mine is when the father said he has no lawyer, which surprises me because how can he defend himself in that way? He has no lawyer. So as I proceeded to read in that book, I noticed that the rich man's proposition was no match for the father's side, because he is telling the truth. He didn't steal the food of them, only took the scent of the food that they were cooking and they were eating. They weren't responsible for the malnutrition of their kids because of the taking of the scents of that food. And also, this story just states that in that particular event, in that courtroom, sinabi din ng rich man that that father has to repay that rich man, and then you're gonna tell that they have to pay it by pure money. And what surprises me is that the father repaid it by just jingling a bag, or not bag, a hat of coins. It looks like a farmer's hat for me. I imagine it like a farmer's hat, and then put some jingling coins onto its inside, and shaking it to hear the sounds of the coins that were tinkling and jingling. And that way, the father said that he was already repaid. So this book took me so much that I have learned more about the societies through nature. So this is the true review. Here we go. So in this book, Bulusan, or Carlos, cleverly contrasts material wealth with emotional wealth. As stated na pinakita yung pagkakaroon nila ng mataas na status sa buhay, that rich man, and the emotional wealth, which was shown by the poor boy's family. So it was very comparable because it had a big change to both sides of families. So it's stating there that money is not comparable still to the emotional wealth of someone. It is not comparable to our love, to our laughter, and to the strong sense of our community, which the community was pertaining to the family because they were happy, they were joyful, they were shouting in happiness because they were just taking the sense because they're satisfied from that food na hindi naman nila nakain. And also, they had this baths in the riverside that they were laughing. They were just laughing. But the rich man wasn't satisfied with on what they were doing. So it was clearly stating that the difference in society really upholds what is really happening here in our today's generation. It is what society really is right now. So another one is it's a bit of satire because it exaggerates real life issues like class inequality and certain legal systems. So pinakita din dun yung pag-amoy ng food because it was so absurd because you're just smelling that food and now you're satisfied even though it's just a matter of fact that you're just smelling that food, that roasted chicken, but your starvation was already done by just smelling it. It was very satire. It was very hyperbolic. And now, it is a perfect example of the Filipino resilience and wit, just like Abang. Pinapakita doon na it doesn't matter that you don't have a lawyer to defend yourself. That's one example. Because you want to defend yourself from someone who is higher or who has a higher status than you. Because you're resilient. Even though with that unfair accusations, that father wasn't angry. Instead, he defended himself truthfully rather. And even uses his intelligence and humor to defend himself and win the case against their family. And even so, nakikita natin dun sa pamilya na despite all that accusations, they still managed to find joy. Because one time after no case, pinakita dun na the judge and the father talked for some point of the story. It is in the last point. It is for some reason they talked and in a matter of seconds, the family just bursted into laughters. So, even though nagkakaroon tayo ng mga accusations or even problems, situations sa buhay, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, it matters, but you're taking consideration on the fact that you can do it. You just have to be resilient and wit. Use your intelligence and even stay strong in times of these. So, and one of those perfect example of a quote that I have read just relating in this story is laughter is the best medicine. It doesn't matter on that problem, you can still find joy in the midst of defeat. So, this has been my favorite book, and I am very happy that you have joined me till the end of this book review. So once again, this is my favorite book, My Father Goes to Court by Bulusan. Once again, thank you for watching.